I lived in Wales in the late 90s, early 2000s, and we had bilingual signs there, and I had no issue. I don't speak Welsh, well, I didn't then, and I still don't. But yeah, we had no problem. I never got lost. I never got run over. So I don't really see the problem.
What do you think, Merepeka?
I think they're making a mountain out of a molehill, but I think there's something else at play here. If you look at the National Party, they've ruled out working with the Māori Party. They will disestablish the Māori Health Authority. They've got an issue with road signage, bilingual road signage. There's something, I don't know whether they're trying to pitch Māori as being a public enemy number one, but it doesn't feel right. And it feels as if they're taking us back to a time of 30 years ago, and we're way past that now. So I'm rather sad to see it, really. It's a no-brainer.
A non-issue for many Kiwis. Andrea, they are also running in the Māori seats, though.
Yeah, I kind of have a problem with this. I do think if you don't believe that they should exist, that these seats shouldn't be represented, then what do you do? Why are you standing? I don't understand. If you don't believe in it, you don't believe in it. So I do think that is hugely problematic and a little bit insulting to the candidates who do believe in it and to the people who vote on the Māori rule.
Is it a big distraction? There is plenty else going on in politics this week, including some of National's own policies. So why do they get trapped in this stuff, do you think?
I think they're looking backwards. I think they're looking back to a time of 30 years ago, perhaps, when perhaps their core constituency would have bought into that. Today, it's just today young people, our young children, they're growing up, they're so familiar with Māori words, they're so familiar with tikanga even, they go on to maraes, they go to a noho marae visit, they're preparing their little projects for matariki, all of that sort of thing. So it just seems to me that I think they're underestimating where New Zealanders are at these days. We're so embracive of things Māori, so I don't know why they're banging on about this.
It's a bad political management too, Andrea. Should Christopher Luxon just have shut this down when it reared its head? Yeah,
I mean, I think it was in response to questions at a meeting. Politicians get all kinds of questions at meetings. They don't then go on talk about them on TV. I was infuriated, as I frequently do, I was infuriated with politics last week. I think this issue, this little scrap over prescription fees that they walked into and Labour was extraordinarily disingenuous about, and I think the media also have to take responsibility for this as well. I can't tell you how many opinion pieces I read this week on bilingual signs. Meanwhile, we are
and here we are talking about it here.
Like I say, we have to take responsibility for it. There are so many more pressing, real, genuine problems in this country, not least the health system, not least that people are having to choose between feeding their kids and heating their home. These are real problems, and politicians are constantly distracting us from these issues with just silly arguments that don't really have a meaning to anyone else outside the chamber.
And so with this sort of minutiae, but why is that, do you think? Because this $5 prescription that it will go back on contraception, I mean, they did seem to walk right into that trap set by Labour this week, didn't they, in the National Party?
Well, to me, it's as if they're somebody else is yanking their chain, and so they're responding. And so, no, if you want to be a political party with credibility, then you highlight the things that are important to you, that you want to change, and that you believe New Zealanders care about as well. That's all you have to do, and if you have to limit it to three or five, then that's it. But when you're all over the place and you can't respond quickly, and then you have to constantly go back and justify, then that's not a good look.
And why can't we sustain, why do these things keep popping up and overtaking, I suppose, the political discourse, Andrea?
Because they're simple. They're simple, easy things to debate and get angry and shout on Twitter about. The really massive problems that the country is facing, that the world is facing, like climate change, are really complicated. There are no easy solutions. And frankly, most of the political parties have no solution to these problems. So it makes sense for them not to talk about these issues and to talk about these other things that get people emotional but actually don't solve anything.
Well, we have had some policy from both parties now, but that is really what we need to see going into this election, isn't it?
I think so, but I also think it's the low level of debate that we accept in New Zealand. Zealand.
That's very true.
You know, we do. We accept the once over lightly, and that's supposed to be it. And you can't drill. You've got to be able to drill down into the issues so that you can see, well, we have to change, and this is the way. And who should we be consulting with? I mean, most people in the regions, they can take one look at a policy and know that's not going to fly. They know their regions, you know, and so you need to be talking to the people who, at the end of the day, will implement some of the policies that you want to promote.
I was going to say, is that a feature of the policies and the politics, or is that an indication of our appetite, Andrea, for policy discussion as a nation?
Yeah, I mean, that is a problem, obviously, but I think that it's the job of lawmakers and policymakers to make it an attractive proposition. They have to make people care, because people are busy. Everyone's got really busy lives, getting the kids to school, sports, doing the shopping, all the other million things that we all have to do day to day, keeping our jobs, paying our mortgage. You know, so we do have to make the policy development process attractive, interesting, easy, you know, like 660-page policy documents requiring you to fill in a form. It's just not going to fly with most people. So we need to look at better ways to engage people much earlier in the policy development process. And, you know, there are some radical ideas out there. In Ireland, we have citizens' assemblies. There's pretty interesting debates going on in citizens' assemblies. Other nations are looking at them. So, and it's just involving the public more than once every sort of 3 to 5 years.
Localism as well, that's right, yes. But I also think that they should prioritise some key areas that are really significant, and that actually could shift the dial for the well-being of New Zealanders. And it is around health, it is around jobs, it is about mental health for our children, for goodness sake. That's a biggie. So, and if they only would just look at those sort of things, and then they'll make traction, because we all care.
Exactly. And, you know, fix housing. You fix a lot of those problems that you just mentioned. If everyone has a warm, dry, safe house, you know, the flow on benefits for that are massive. So concentrate on one thing at a time.
It's interesting, isn't it? I've got to wrap up now, but when people look at these sort of little debates that politicians are having, it turns them off as well, doesn't it? Thank you so much for joining us here on the panel, Andrea and Merepeka.
Thank you.